Talking CRM with Jeff and David, getting the best value for the whole organization from your integrated CRM and accounting systems. David Beard, CRM Principal, and Jeff Richards, Head of Training Program Development for Sage CRM, spend time chatting with customers, resellers, and others about Sage CRM in action around the globe. Myself and my colleague Jeff Richards talk to Mark Engelberg. He's the founder and CEO of TimeLinx. In this episode, Jeff Richards delves deeper into the technology to understand how CRM and TimeLinx work together to deliver that end-to-end management.
Mark, thinking about TimeLinx and the user experience, can you walk me through how somebody will use TimeLinx in terms of the interface that they see and how that compares with the native CRM experience and also the native accounting system?
TimeLinx experience really is identical to the CRM experience. We are not a standalone product that exchanges data with the CRM system. TimeLinx I built intentionally to be embedded inside it so that a user has the identical experience. They log into the CRM, and now it's just a matter of a different screen. If you think of it in terms of an ERP or accounting system, there might be some people in the finance department who work in accounts payable. There are other people who work in accounts receivable. There are other people who work in purchasing, and there are other people who are purely doing GL activities. Well, if they are truly in almost isolated departments, that's the only screen they ever see all day is accounts payable. So in our case, there are some people who are in sales, and they see the company relationship, and they see the sales opportunities, but the people who are delivering services see the project screen and see the tasks, and they're yet in the same system, but they don't need to understand how accounts payable doesn't need to understand how accounts receivable works. They need to be trained in their own skill set. And so this is true as well. So for us, the user experience is identical. They log in, they are in the CRM system. It looks the same, it feels the same. They just click on different buttons and they look at different data because it's different screens. But in fact, some of the data on those screens is part of the company data. They can see the company name right there that was put in by someone else before they even became a customer and before the opportunity was created. But we can also say, okay, here's the opportunity. It has a certain value. It was sold by Mary. That opportunity became a project. We now know what the revenue was produced by Mary's sale. So we can say, what was the forecast that Mary made versus what is the actual that the project is returning? And we have now real-time forecast to actual and budget to actual in real time in the same system without a disconnect anywhere along the path.
Saying services-based business, that's such a critical factor, isn't it? Because sometimes some of those costs are hidden and they're not really understood.
Frankly, you could call it a vertical, but it's really a horizontal. It is the largest revenue producer in the world is services. Manufacturing even is not as high as services, because if you think about services, it could be anything. If you think of services and the types of whether it's plumbing or heating, consulting, technology, the list is so large anywhere in the world. We have companies that do kitchen, they collect grease from kitchens. Literally, we have a customer running Sage CRM that collects grease from kitchens in many locations, and they have to go to that location, they pick up the grease, they have to bring it back, it gets processed. All of that they need to track, and those are services. I'll say one more thing is there's a stickiness factor.
A stickiness factor with the grease business, that would be a slippery customer.
Jeff and I were both trying to think of a cunning name to go with that, and you just took it away from us.
Thinking about the technology that you're using, if the experience is the same as the CRM interface, it's an extension of CRM, what API choices did you make when you created it? And TimeLinx now has a good heritage within the product, so I should suspect that you've actually had a period of time to consider which API is the best and whether you've made revisions to the API choices that you've had.
Well, actually, we have done something a little bit differently. We use an API when there is a third party, an accounting product that is outside of the Sage world, where the only way to put data into that accounting product is through that vendor In the Sage world, we don't need to do that. First of all, we're embedded within CRM, so there's no APIs involved. We literally built out the data tables and the screens to accommodate the TimeLinx functionality without any APIs at all.
But are you using, in order to render the screens, are you using things like either the .NET API or the classic ASP pages, or are you using the run block type native extensions?
We are using the ASP pages built with the Sage CRM development kit. We do have some newer screens that are .NET, and we've done that for a couple of reasons. Some is functionality, some is look and feel, but most of it is ASP.NET code, and it's all therefore all native. So we've built out some modules, however, that do talk to the product that we found we needed to use outside tools, partly for security reasons, where we needed to make the security higher. We've got a customer that has offices in the UK and in 3 locations in the United States. And by law in both countries, they provide information to both governments, the US government and the UK government. And some of their customers are military providers. And so there's a lot of secrecy and confidential information. So we needed to build out extra security so that people in the United States could not see the records that are being stored about UK customers and UK staff that could not see data for US military. So we've had to use some external tools and some extra functionality. It's made our product really very scalable. Again, even more industries that have those kind of requirements. The other place we've used APIs is that we determined somewhere back a ways that an opportunity almost always involves a quotation. And quotations are no longer the simple things that they used to be, which is, 5 of these times a certain price. Sometimes it's 5 of these at a certain price, but there's 6 components that make up that item. And so there are very complex quoting capabilities today. And so where we did use API technology is to interface with a quoting tool that is now part of the TimeLinx product set, which is a direct integration with the Sage CRM opportunity, where a quote is created in this other tool and it is passed directly into the opportunity, which then passes into the project, and you have this complete flow from the prospective customer in the CRM, creating an opportunity, now producing a quote, maybe not even one quote, because they get the quote and they say, you know what, I've changed my mind, we need 6 of those, not 5. And then they change it again and say, I want to drop this item. So there's revisions of quotes. We track all of those revisions of the quotes through until the customer says, yes, this is the one I'm willing to accept. They can accept it electronically online. They can pay for it online. They can make changes to it online. They can be given choices that they want 5 or 6 on the very first quote. And then when it says, let's go, and we win the opportunity in the standard Sage CRM functionality of changing the status and saying it's won, we pass the data into the TimeLinx project, and some of the data goes into the products that we're delivering, some of the data goes into the services we're delivering, some of it goes into a maintenance contract that we're delivering, because all of those were on the quote. But there's separate buckets inside of the project, and there's separate buckets in the job cost that then passes to the ERP system.
What I really like about that, Jeff, is this idea, it's something we're big on, this idea about the API lets people do stuff in the product, but you can also extend it out to other things like your quoting tool, like your integration to web self-service, that sort of thing. That's a terrific story, isn't it?
And we've extended it to a mobile client as well. We have now a second mobile client coming out. Our current mobile client was one that required internet connectivity. Someone could be out in the field with a phone or a tablet, record their time, record all the details and all the work they've done. Of course, the beauty of a phone is they all have cameras, so they could take a picture of the job site or of an error. They're going out to fix something. They could take a picture of the broken item, for example, or take a shot of a serial number to send that to purchasing. So all of that could be done on the mobile client. And again, there's another place where we could extend that functionality that you're talking about to a service person in the field. Countries that we have customers where there's no internet connectivity everywhere, such as in a kitchen where they're collecting the grease, they can do all of that work on a disconnected client, and when they get back to the internet, it can synchronize all the data back.
In the next episode, Jeff and I talk further with Mark about the way TimeLinx and Sage CRM are used by customers around the world. You've been listening to Talking CRM with Jeff and David, getting the best for the whole organization from your integrated CRM and accounting systems.